Hi there, everybody. My name is Sipho Ngwenya, and welcome to MultiTalks. It's been a while, but we are back with more content. Now, on this platform, we get to chat to industry experts and multi-choice leaders about all things related to the entertainment industry. In today's episode, I'll be chatting to ShirleyAdonisi, who is the channel director for local interest channels at MultiChoice SA, and she'll be chatting to us about Mzansi Magic's reality plans. But of course, she'll also be chatting to us about a new format that they have developed called Realnovela. Stick around. ShirleyAdonisi,
Sipho Ngwenya.
welcome to MultiTalks.
Thanks for having me.
Very formal. That's the only formal thing we're gonna do on the show today. Shirley, you've worn many hats, in this television industry of ours. I mean, I do have some history of us working together. You joined MultiChoice as a senior manager for planning, scheduling,
I did.
and now you currently sit as the person who is responsible for the local interest channels, as the director of the local interest channels, more specifically Mzansi Magic. But before that, Shirley, and before we delve into this great conversation we're about to have, I've never really gotten to ask you about how you landed up in television.
Oh gosh, it was really by a fluke. I was a student at Wits and I needed a job. My sister worked at the SABC at the time, and she said, "Oh, you know what? We need someone to answer the phone during a live show." And I would come in 2 hours every day. I think they paid me 50 Rand a day, which was a fortune back then.
Okay.
And that's how I got exposed to studios, writing scripts, making content, etc. And I didn't realize it at that time that would be my career, because that's not what I was studying at all.
Okay.
But then, fast forward a couple of years, another degree later, and my parents just said, "Can you just please go find a job, any job?" And I ended up as a travel agent, believe it or not.
Okay.
And while I was working there, I learned a lot of project management skills, because I was working in the corporate department. And then I just got a call from someone who was looking for a production manager at Urban Brew. And I said, okay, let me just go for the interview, because, I didn't really know what it meant, but I knew. And that was my first job in television,
Oh, wow.
working as a production manager.
And
at Urban Brew.
you've been with many production companies, right? I mean, I can name another one, Endemol Shine. I can
Yeah.
name. Were you ever at Red Pepper?
No,
No.
I was in a Red Pepper,
Okay,
yeah.
the Red Pepper. But your preference, right? I mean, you got into this production manager role, but I've seen your preference, and I guess where your strength is really. You've worked on some of the biggest reality TV shows, and one that we're gonna talk about quite a lot today, Big Brother.
Yeah.
Right. Is the unscripted side of things your preference, or is long format or the scripted stuff also kind of
Oh, I think that's a difficult one to answer, because the reward is different depending on the show. So, for example, reality TV, specifically Clash of the Choirs, was so rewarding because you changed people's lives in an instant, and you had something to do with that journey, which is amazing, and showcasing talent, etc. But it comes with a lot of stress, because it was a big team, as you would know, and it had to come off as a really high-class production. So you carry a lot of that stress and pressure to make sure that the final result is exactly what the client wants. So that type of reality is rewarding. Other type of reality, like I will use Uthando Nes'thembu. I was a producer on season 1 and 2. That also brings a different kind of challenge, because you are introducing the audience to a subject matter that they maybe perhaps have stereotypes about and would automatically judge the family. So how do you responsibly create a show that showcases the authenticity of the family, still respects them to a certain extent because we're not exploiting them. We are just showcasing a different part of the country. And then watching and seeing people's reaction to say, oh, they like it, oh, they don't. And then, 9 years later, we are here and the show is still on air. So I think for me, reality has really put me in a lot of uncomfortable spaces. Reality is less predictable than drama. Drama, once you have the story and the script and your actors are in place and your locations are in place, you're literally just getting through those pages, but you know what to expect. What is the scene tomorrow? What is the performance? I think that the challenges there lie in just managing people and making sure that your talent has the best circumstances under which to work with, and just also allowing creative freedom to a certain extent. But the story is the story.
Correct.
But reality, you don't know the story.
It's the controlled chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, I really, really enjoyed it. So I wouldn't say I have a preference. They are both very, very challenging. But I learned a lot by actually having experience in both fields, which I think makes my job a little bit easier because I come from there and I understand the challenges that the producers go through and what the commissioning editors go through.
So now when I roll the years back a bit, right, and I look at when Mzansi Magic started in 2010, obviously there was quite a lot of drama series, telenovela-esque type shows at the time. Reality only started to kind of like have a real impact, I would say, but maybe about 5 years later, right? And now when I look at the slate, I see a lot of reality. So what has prompted that, I guess, the level of importance of reality TV in the current strategy of Mzansi Magic?
Well, I think you're very right. I think initially drama and telenovelas were the strong point. But we don't all live in Rockville, and we all don't live at Isibaya, and we all don't own taxis. There are so many other facets of being South African and being a Black African. And I think what reality TV allows us to do is showcase ourselves in a more authentic and realistic way. It's almost like a mirror to our society, but it also kind of elicits a lot of self-reflection. And you'll see if you look at our slate of reality, initially, we were just showcasing the Ranakas as a family and you're seeing what they're doing. But now we've got intervention shows that we've brought to our slate. We had shows that were questioning paternity. We've got relationship shows. We've got breakup shows. We have, exciting family shows. So I think the variety that the reality shows bring on our slate is really very refreshing because we are so heavy on the telenovela side. So that 8 o'clock slot is very, very important because it refreshes itself at least every 3 months. We have something fresh and new. And then, of course, Sunday has always been a very special day on Mzansi Magic. And I think the pressure is on now. Obviously, it's a bit more competitive, but that's where we experiment. This is where you'll find you're married at first sight there. Makoti, are you the one? And something light like I'm with your ex, Supoka, which then kind of leads you into our Sunday drama. So reality is almost like the refreshment, the freshness that the channel brings, but also something to look forward to, hopefully, that you didn't expect, that brings that talkability, that brings that connection either with your family, because you watch as a family, and also connection as a people and as a culture, in whatever format that may come. So sometimes you laugh, sometimes you cry, sometimes you learn something, and sometimes you introspect. But I think making sure that we're always reflecting where the country is very important as a channel.
Now let's get more into some of the more controlled reality, right? I say controlled in inverted commas, right? Coming away from something like A Clash of the Choirs, which you were heavily involved in, and now looking at the success of Big Brother, I mean, it's now in its 6th season.
Yeah.
Right. Why does the business keep investing in this particular format?
Big Brother is a very simple format, but a very complicated one. So on paper, it's housemates in a house for 3 months, and there is this entity called Big Brother, and they do as they told, and eventually somebody wins the money, right? The beauty of Big Brother is that the winner is determined by the viewers. So their daily participation is what determines the end. And there are very few shows like that, where literally how many times you vote, who you like, who you don't like, actually wins or doesn't win. However, from a format social experiment perspective, it is quite a complex format, because it starts with your cast of who you actually bring into the house. Because like with any production, you need to have an ensemble where you complement each other, but at the same time, you bring out the best and the worst of each other, right? And you put them in this pressure cooker called the house, and they have everything they need, supposedly. But being locked in, and I use locked very loosely, being cut off from your life and living with strangers 24/7 on camera, and having to share resources, having to share food, winning challenges, making enemies, making friends, deception, the lies. It really, for me, week on week, we see who can live under pressure. We see who can adapt to the new situation. We see who's playing the game. Yeah. But the secret to Big Brother, at the end of it all, if you look at the winners, it's really about authenticity and actually being brave enough to be yourself in all situations. In the beginning, you want to impress the audience. You want to be perfect. Great. But all of that slowly sheds away, slowly sheds away. And that, I think, that rawness is what audiences fall in love with eventually.
And I want to stop you right there, right? Because there's something quite important that you've said from a contestant's perspective in terms of, going in there wanting to impress people, right? And I know, obviously, I've also worked on the show, but do you think that there are enough checks and balances done on these contestants before entering the house? And I'm now obviously going somewhere that's kind of controversial, but not really. So what I'm trying to say is, you go in there, people look at the money.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Right. And they think about their life circumstances and saying, hey, man,
an easy money.
This is an easy way of me solving this problem that I have, not really thinking about what it actually means being inside of that house, which is why we've had a couple of instances where people have voluntarily left, right? And that should be already a thing and I guess maybe you're in a better position to kind of like talk to those people now to be like, what are the things that they actually should be thinking about?
Yeah. Look, I think seeing something and having a perception of what it would be like in the house and actually being in the house is quite a shock for many, many people. I think this is why screening is very important, and those psych tests that we do, the extensive interviews that they go through, and obviously we sift them down. Do you really know when that person goes in how they're going to show up? No. Right? Which I think is often the surprise sometimes for production, because you'll think, oh no, Sipho is going to be the aggregator here. He's not going to take nonsense. This is what he's going to do. He gets in the house and he sleeps all day. It's like, we need a shower. You can't be sleeping, or he's now just somebody's lapdog. And then somebody just rises from the ashes and finds their voice, So I think we do our due diligence behind the scenes in ensuring that, we are not torturing people.
Correct.
It needs to also be a life-changing experience for you, even though you don't necessarily win. And a lot of people's careers have springboarded from being in the house. But I think people's mindset of what they think is going to happen in the house, the exact opposite actually happens. And
it's almost like they think they can control the game.
Yes.
Without knowing what the game is about.
100%.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So now from a viewer's perspective, right? How do they like? What does it tell us every season when we see the winner? What does that tell us about the viewers who voted for that person? Surely it tells us something about society, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot. I mean, if you look at the social media comments that the show elicits, the number of complaints that we get from the BCCSA, and now with social media, people who are experts and give commentary about what is happening in the house, what they think should happen. I think for me, our audiences can smell through the nonsense. They do not like bullies at all. They don't like manipulators. They love the drama and the controversy, but ultimately, when they ask themselves who deserves to win the money, it's hardly ever the bad girl, the bad boy, the one who caused the most trouble, the one who was mean to everybody. So at the end of the day, for me, it's about our audiences wanting the underdog to win or the right person to win. And maybe it's also a form of justice in a way to say the right person who deserved to win actually won. And I think it's a spirit we have as people, wanting people to actually improve and go from A to B. And I had something to do with that. And look how this person has succeeded since then. So we really have a bunch of cheerleaders as audiences, but we also generally want the deserving person to win. So yeah, it's a bit contradictory sometimes because you only don't, you want people that will give you the drama and the controversy, but who eventually wins and how they react to those situations has an effect on how people vote.
Now, Shirley, as you sit there, right? No pressure, right? But you have a really, the job is quite daunting, right? Because when I think about it, you're responsible for people's mood between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night, every Monday to Friday. We won't obviously go into the weekends, right? I'm just saying, and how those people feel and wake up the next day, right? In knowing that, what do you think has actually prepared you for a moment like this when you look back at your life?
I think first of all is how I grew up. I grew up in a home or in a space where we moved a lot. And so being exposed to different societies, how people live and different cultures and having to adapt in those spaces. Even the school I went to, just going to a Model C school where you are the only Black child, brings about some kind of inner strength in dealing with racism, bias, and all of that. Being in production and, starting as a production manager where, you're expected to make coffee and make photocopies and, work really, really long hours. Kind of, bosses coming down on you for whatever reason. And then being a producer and dealing with people who are unhappy, negotiating salaries, negotiating people not coming to set on time. The catering is bad. Then being at the SABC and dealing with very racist producers who saw me as a short Black girl and that was it. And having to find my voice and make sure that my work speaks for itself has taught me a lot of resilience. There's really not much that can hurt me, I think, at my age. But I've also learned the beauty of being kind and seeing people and acknowledging their talent and giving people a chance. So I think through my life experience and how I've grown up and the job that I have been in one of those circumstances at one point in my life. And also many of the jobs I got was because somebody gave me a chance. They saw potential and they gave me a chance. So when the ideas come to me, whether I think it's a good or bad idea, right? Because it's not an autocratic system in which we work. We debate. good? Is this a good concept? What could work? What could not work? How can we do better? So even if we eventually decline the concept, there's an understanding of the room of why this was declined. And sometimes there's just a potential and you've got to polish it. And you encourage your CEs and the producers to go and polish it, and it comes out as this beautiful gem. And I think for me, that's the reward of making shows that didn't exist 9 months ago, and you see them on air and you see them being received in such a positive way. But not forgetting that I work for MultiChoice. This is a business. We need to make revenue. We need to hit the targets. I need to manage the people and my stakeholders. So I double hat a lot. Sometimes I'm putting out fires, but at the same time, I'm giving an environment that allows for creativity and innovation. So I think that whole journey that I've gone through has helped me to actually be in this chair today.
Right. Well, look, we've unpacked those pressures, right? And rightfully so. That was going to be my next question around, the pressures of signing off on something and sometimes having to decline a proposal. And I'm sure for some producers on the other side, they don't see the stuff that actually goes in the background before making that decision.
Yeah.
Right. With that said, Mzansi Magic obviously has been in the forefront for many years in terms of pioneering new genres, trying out and being brave and bold. What audience insight now led to, or rather, let me ask, what business challenge were you trying to solve, right, with this new, you call it a real
Realnovela.
When I first read it, I was like,
What is that?
it's a real thing. But I mean, for me, it makes sense, right? It goes back to the controlling the uncontrollables. But let me hear from you, right? In terms of, you have this long-standing, successful show. How can you elevate it?
Yeah.
But what business challenge were you trying to solve by doing that? And what is a Realnovela actually?
So let me start with the challenge part, right? So as I said before, numbers and ratings and revenue are very important in my world. So when you have a show like Uthando Nes'thembu that year on year performs better, right? And you've got a cast, I'll call them a cast for now, but you've got a family that has been so brave and vulnerable in actually showcasing their lives, their pain, their challenges. For us, it was important to continue the journey with them, right? And the more they opened up to us, the more footage we had, which kind of resulted in a lot of footage not being seen, right? Two, you've got slots that you're trying to elevate in terms of performance, but you can see what this one does on a Thursday, right? But maybe the Wednesday one is struggling. So now you've got all this footage you leave out. You could potentially increase the number of episodes if you just invest a little bit more. We know our audiences appreciate serialized viewing because they watch our telenovelas and their dramas. So how do we sustain performance at least over this 2 days that we know they're going to tune in on a Wednesday, they're going to tune in on a Thursday. We cut it in such a way that there's a cliffhanger that's going to make you tune in tomorrow and then obviously tune in again the following week. So it kind of came together beautifully where we managed to find the budget. We managed to convince the business that this is actually a low risk. And if we do it and it succeeds, it's going to be amazing. But also what we did in December, we still had so much footage that didn't make it into the Realnovela.
So you're going to make it 3 days a week?
We did an uncut, right? So we did a Uthando Nes'thembu uncut, so never before seen footage. And so it is really making sure that your product, you sweat it as much as possible because
you invest a lot into it.
Right. So instead of just doing one episode and then you wipe away the rest of the footage, how best can you utilize it going forward? So it was really a sustainable strategy from our end. It also made sense from a budgetary and investment perspective. It worked wonderfly for DMS and it worked wonderfully in terms of the numbers. But one must always be wary of viewer fatigue.
Yeah.
Because, there can be so much, and then it's like, this is too much. So we keep an eye out for that viewer fatigue. We work with CII and those insights.
And just going back to what you said, right? I mean, look, it's an authentic show. It's a story about people. There's no script here. I mean, there is a bit of a script, but in terms of where you're going to shoot, you know that part, right? But what you're going to get out of it, you just don't know. Right? In saying that, I mean, I know what it does for the business. Gives you great ratings, great viewership, etc. But the people's lives that are involved in this thing, how do you go about ensuring that to some level that they're not feeling exploited, right, for being themselves?
I think, first of all, it's coming to people with an authentic intent. We are not there to expose people's lives, to humiliate them, to mock them, to ambush them, to trap them. We would just like to be a mirror of who you are, good, bad, and ugly. So approaching our people with a level of respect is very important, regardless of what your personal beliefs are. So there has to be that level of respect and a level of empathy and, of course, duty of care. So, for example, when the housemates leave the house, there is an extensive duty of care to kind of, get them back into society, and we continue supporting them for a long time. Shows that are often traumatic. So if I think of Abandon, there's a huge duty of care there. If you're looking for your mom and you find them and they still reject you, we can't just stop rolling and then pack our bags and go home. So that duty of care is very important. Not forcing people to talk about things they don't want to talk about. So if someone says, you know what, this area is a no-go, we respect those boundaries, right? But also giving them a safe space to actually be comfortable enough to trust us. So it is a relationship that we have to build with the people that are on our shows. We don't go there and exploit them and then come back and then have the ratings and forget about them. Because at the end of the day, we can make or break people's lives. So, and that's not what the channel stands for. We are here to shift mindsets. We are here to be a mirror to society. But at the same time, we're not a gimmicky type of channel where we rely on scandalous content to actually drive our ratings.
What is the one thing you wish they knew, or you'd wish they'd had advice on before joining a show, whether it be like a big format like Big Brother or just Uthando Nes'thembu, right? Because when the cameras are off and the show is over, it's back to reality.
I think it's twofold. I think sometimes people don't understand how popular you can become. So social media, everybody knows you, everyone recognizes you, everyone has an opinion about your life. So going to a shop might be a totally different experience to what you thought, right? And sometimes that brings opportunities. Maybe you get booked for things and, your life changes for the positive. And often we've talked about this, that it goes to people's heads. So the reason why people fell in love with you kind of dissipates as you become this diva and you become famous and you have all these demands, which ultimately alienates you from the people who loved you from the first, in the first place. So I think the one thing is to say, stay true to who you are, because that's what people connected, why they connected with you. I think on the other side is the amount of hatred you can get. Online bullying is very real. Being judged based on stereotypes is a reality, and often they are not ready for that backlash and rejection in a way. So it can go either way. But I think for us, it's the shock of people actually hate me, and there's a whole Twitter thread about me that people and how you let that affect you. So it is a risk in a way to expose yourself, because not everyone is going to love you. But if you are your true authentic self, you will still connect to people in some shape or form.
All right. Well, now let's get to the fun part of the show.
It's been fun so far.
I looked at these. Look, it's been fun, but it's been very serious, right?
Yeah.
Shirley, you have to go and take it back. But on the real though, this is quite a light part of the show. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Right? You just need to the first thing that comes to your head, you say it.
Okay.
And then we go on. Right?
Yeah.
Right. First reality show you were ever obsessed with or obsessed over as a viewer?
Ricky Lake.
Sure.
A long time ago.
Bad show.
Ricky Lake. After school was Ricky Lake.
Was the guy with the orange hair again with the other guy?
Jerry Springer. With her eyes was Ricky Lake.
You say, okay. Telenovela you'll never forget, local or international?
Bophelo ke Semphego. Nkusheng was the one.
Exposing your age.
That was a fire show.
One reality TV trope you secretly love?
I love enemies to lovers. Like, I love how you think you hate this person and you have such differences and you can never, and then you end up somehow together.
Okay.
So I do love enemies to lovers.
So you like happy endings?
Yes.
Shit.
And also just seeing that, what you were fighting about actually doesn't matter.
It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
One reality TV trope you never want to see again?
It's the chosen one. Like this thing of you are the only one and you are the chosen one. You are the only wizard. You are the only fairy godmother. Like, I just feel like it's very exclusive. We all have different talents and we can generally do anything we set our minds to. So this thing of you are the queen and everybody else, I don't agree with.
Okay. If your life right now was a show title?
Yeah, that one I know. I actually have a clue that I'm going to call it The Fixer. Because that's all I do.
Shirley the Fixer.
I fix. And it was one of my favorite shows. Love Olivia Pope. Dignified, informed, okay, sometimes irresponsible, but responsible, but knowing your craft and letting your work speak for itself. So I think I'm the fixer.
I'm going to change this one slightly.
Okay.
And make it more open. One word that describes what TV means to you.
Connection. I would say it's connection.
I like that. I like that.
And it's not just with the audience. It's at home. It's with your mom. It's with your friends. And it's us as a society where we just connect.
One word that describes what responsibility means to you in this space.
I would say it's a blessing. I think many people don't get the opportunity to have so much influence in people's lives and using that in a positive way. I've learned a lot about myself and my biases and my mindset about life and marriage and relationships has also changed over the time. And I think it's made me a well-rounded person and kind of see the light in people, in whoever I encounter with. So I look at it as a blessing. Yeah.
And then number 6, this is Sipho's one now.
Okay.
Right. One reality moment that made you go, what was that? Good or bad?
What was that? This one's not a reality moment, but it happened when that minister fell off the chair.
Oh my goodness. It is a reality moment. It's not the news, but yeah.
Like, I will never forget, because it was in stages, it kind of cracked. So I don't think I'll ever forget that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now let's get into kind of like the responsibility part of the show, right? You obviously stumbled into this career kind of like by chance.
Yeah.
Right. And then I guess you grew to love it. But now for those viewers, anyone rather watching this right now, possibly one day just also wants to become someone in the television business, whether it be a channel director, commissioning editor, production manager, what advice would you give them?
Work hard, even when no one's watching. Go the extra mile as much as you can. An extra mile not meaning work long hours, but study the craft, read the books, watch the films, in your own time, not necessarily during the 9 to 5. Trust your instinct. I think often you'll say something and, oh, that's a bad idea, right? But if you have a well thought out idea and you really believe in it, trust that, because there are a lot of naysayers. And that also goes to your talent. Someone can just believe, hey, you can't sing or you can't act. But you believe in your talent and you hone in on that skill. Don't listen to those voices. So your inner voice and your intuition is very, very important. And be an expert at what you do so that nobody can fool you, right? And if you don't know, go learn and go find out about it. You can't be a channel director and say, oh, I don't understand numbers. They aren't my favorite, but I understand numbers, and I understand how money is a tool and how it needs to come back to the business. I had to learn that. I had to go to school for that. And that's what you do, So keep learning, keep honing in your skill. The world is changing so fast. You will be left behind. There's now AI in our lives. You've got to keep up with what is happening. So I think those would really be my words of wisdom.
Sure, powerful words of wisdom. Yeah, add that. Shirley, this has been a lovely conversation.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot. You have a very big responsibility. And I really just want to say thank you for sharing the time with us. You're a very busy person. And I hope our viewers have learned a thing or two. And good luck,
Yes.
everything else that Mzansi Magic is doing.
Thank you.
From now on into the future. And stay blessed.
Thank you. Thank you, Sipho. I also just work with fantastic people. It's not just me. It's a lot of men and women who really work hard to come up with these concepts. And I'm proud to call them my partners. So, it's a team effort at the end of the day. So, yeah. But thank you for having me. This was nice.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. Miss ShirleyAdonisi. I really had a great time chatting to her right here on MultiTalks. Catch us for another episode soon. Until then, bye-bye.